All right, we're back here on Titans Talk. We want to hear from you tonight. 737-7767. Huge win yesterday, 19-17 in Kansas City. Titans trailed 14-0, trailed 17-7 in the fourth quarter, 17-16 into the final seconds. Take the lead for the first time as the clock expires on Ryan Succop's 53-yard field goal at the gun to beat his former team back in Kansas City. A huge win. Probably the biggest win for the Titans since 2008, last time they were in the playoffs. So just a massive win that sets up two more games that are even bigger down the stretch. Jacksonville this weekend in a game you just have to have. They're 2-12. They fired their coach yesterday. You got to win. And then you would have a massive game for the AFC South title on January 1st. And what a better way to ring in 2017 than for the Titans to be playing for a division title and a playoff berth at Nissan Stadium. Phone lines are open. 737-7767 is the number. Let's begin tonight with David. David, thanks for the call. You're first up here.
Yes, my question is on the two-point conversion.
Yep.
Why would the Titans be going on a two-point conversion without their tight end Walker on the field?
Great question.
I believe he was on the sideline.
He was on the sideline.
So, I mean, what exactly was that? I mean, what is the sense in doing that? You know, your most prolific receiver.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. You also have DeMarco Murray, who's a very good pass-catching back out of the backfield. They went to him on the 4th and 5, remember, on that drive to set up the touchdown to be in that position. That's how good of a pass catcher he is. He was in the backfield blocking. So you had three options on the route. Harry Douglas was the first choice. I'm not sure if I would diagram it that way if it were me. And then you had Tajay Sharp and Rashard Matthews out there in the pattern as well. That was it. It was an unorthodox line of scrimmage in the sense that Anthony Fasano was the left tackle on the play, and you had two tackles on the right side in Lewan and Conklin as Mariota rolled to that side where all the action was. It was something that the Titans apparently saw on film, or they thought they had enough of a scheme advantage that they were going to get a guy open. Malarkey said today he thought Harry Douglas was open immediately, and Mariota just didn't throw it there, and then the play fell apart. But, man, it looked ugly at the time, and I'm with you. I think in that situation you have to have your biggest threat in Delaney Walker on the field, maybe not as the number one option, but at least as a decoy out there, and I think you have to have DeMarco Murray be an impact on the play as well. David, we appreciate the call. Let's move on to Jay now. Jay, what's up?
Hey, Steve. Good afternoon. I'm a Cowboys fan, but I do keep up with the Titans and watch them, and I want to congratulate them and Coach Malarkey, and especially Succop beating his former team. But I just wonder what you thought of the icing the kicker in the pros. You know, in college and high school, I can understand it, but it seems like these guys know what they're doing. You know, just like Succop missing the first one, then he knew exactly what he had to do.
Yeah.
Also Henry running the ball. It looked like that Kansas City line was plumb wore out from him running. I'll hang up and listen. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Jay. I said it in the first segment. I think icing the kicker, frankly, at any level, but certainly at the NFL level, I don't know what you stand to gain. I mean, those guys' job is to sit over there on the sideline the entire game and think about the situation in which they're about to have to walk out on the field and kick it. Do you really think stalling them for 60 more seconds is going to really make a huge impact? But even if you do, as I said before, the biggest thing is call it early. Call the timeout. Make him think about it. But don't give him the chance to kick through a rep and see exactly how far he has to kick it or what the wind direction is or whatever the circumstance was. Clearly yesterday, Ryan Succop benefited. The Titans benefited from the chance to have a dry run through that kick. The first one wasn't good. It wasn't long enough. The second one, he got more into it. He wins the game. To me, I don't know how Andy Reid sleeps after that. And he's not alone. A lot of coaches would have done exactly that. But I think if you want to call the timeout, fine. But you got to do it early enough that there's no rep that can be taken. There's no fake kick or extra opportunity for the other team. You just can't do that. And I think that was a big mistake yesterday by Andy Reid. Back to the two-point conversion real quick. A lot of people criticized it, and I think it was the wrong move based off of the exact time. But I will also say this. As the Titans were driving yesterday, I tweeted out, I said, if the Titans score, don't be surprised if they go for two here. Because in the exact same situation back in week 3 of the season, down 17-10, Titans had the ball inside the red zone before failing to score against the Raiders. But the next day after the game, Mike Mularkey said, had we scored there, we were going to go for two in the win. We wanted to win it right there. Think whatever you want about the strategy of that whole thing, but that's the mindset Mike Mularkey has instilled into this Titans team. I wrote a piece about this on NewsChannel5.com that you can go check out. But essentially, when he got hired, he changed the culture in that locker room. They're going to be more physical. They're going to battle you in the trenches. They're not backing down from anybody. And they believe that they can win every time they walk out there. What a far cry that is from the team that won 5 games combined the last 2 seasons. It's like night and day. But that's what he's instilled. And I think part of that is the idea that we're going to be aggressive. We're going to go after games and try to win them, not try to tie them, not try to be close in them. We're trying to win. And you didn't see that example in week 3 because they weren't able to score. But that's sort of the message he's thrown out there. And what you saw even back in week 3 is guys embraced it. And they told Mularkey, yeah, we're all for it. Let's go win the game. So here was the opportunity in the biggest game of the season for a team that has gotten themselves in that position at 7-6 going into Sunday, in the playoff hunt, tied for first place. They've gotten there by being aggressive, by believing they could win, by not backing down from anybody, home or away. And here you are, the moment that the rubber meets the road in that game. That's why I believe Mike Mularkey was going for it. That is how he had preached for this team to play since he got the job last winter, through the spring and the summer and training camp and this year. That's what he had been preaching. When the rubber met the road, he had to follow through. He had to believe that they could get it done on that play. And if they didn't, that they could do exactly what they ultimately did and get a stop and give the offense a chance to come back and win the game again. That was a message he was sending, whether you want to talk about messages in the time or not. He's trying to build a program here, trying to build a franchise team that is used to losing and trying to make them a winner. And like I said yesterday and in the piece, I personally would have kicked because I think there's too much that can happen. You don't have the timeouts to ensure yourself that you can really get the ball back. You had to get a 3-and-out, which the defense did, but that's a lot of pressure to put on the defense. I kick if I'm coaching. But it's hard to argue that Mike Mularkey isn't pushing all of the right buttons right now when it comes to being the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. He has made a team believe it can beat anybody, even like yesterday, when logic tells you they probably shouldn't after the failed 2-point conversion. He's made this team a winner. And for all the criticize Mike Mularkey and the hire, or John Robinson and Mike Mularkey, the duo, for all who criticized, what do they have to do now to convince you? Are you convinced? Because 8-6 and in control of your own destiny for the playoffs is where this team sits. And yes, they've upgraded some players. Kudos to John Robinson. Yes, Marcus Mariota is better, and he's been healthy in year 2. Certain guys have stepped up. But a lot of the credit here, I believe, goes to Mike Mularkey and putting those players in the right position and instilling a culture and instilling a belief that this team is going to win. 737-7767 is the number. We go back to the phones now. JD. JD, thanks for waiting. You're next up here on Sportsline. Hey, JD, are you there?
Yeah.
Go ahead. You're on the air.
Some people say Titans suck, but I say keep going, Titans. You can make it.
All right, JD. Thanks for the call. I think there's a lot of optimism around Nashville and Tennessee right now because the Titans have figured out how to win some of these games. And if you look at the evolution of this team early in the year, 1-3 to start, you could tell they were better. They were making some plays. You could tell this was a more competitive team than what we had seen the last 2 years. But it wasn't necessarily materializing in wins and losses. From 1-3, they get to a point where they start winning some games, but they weren't able to string them together. They went 7 weeks at one point in the middle of the season where it went win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win. It was just up and down. They couldn't get the level of consistency that you see from a lot of the playoff teams out there. But again, you felt like progress was being made. Strides were taken. And you just wondered if there was enough time in this season for them to take the next step and go from being an average team to a really good team with a shot at the playoffs. And lo and behold, they figured out how to do it. They pull out a game in Chicago that they had to win. Then they come back and get one of the biggest wins we've seen in a long time here, beating the defending Super Bowl champion Broncos last week. And then they go on the road and win at Kansas City. And now all of a sudden that team that couldn't string wins together has won 3 in a row, including back-to-back wins over 2 of the more respected teams in the NFL. And here you are, 8-6, and you're a win away over a 2-12 Jaguars team from hosting a massive game, basically a playoff game in Week 17 against the Texans. All right, let's go to Andre. Andre, good evening. You're next up here on Titans Talk.
How you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for the call.
Hey, I think that was a great win by the Titans. I believe that was a playoff preview. I see both of these teams playing again at Nissan Stadium. But my question to you is, how many Titans do you see making the Pro Bowl? I see maybe 4 to 5, but I don't know if they're going to get the respect, but I think 4 or 5 Titans should make the Pro Bowl. So what do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question, Andre. I kind of played around with this the other day. I think there's a real shot Marcus Mariota could get there. I think DeMarco Murray should be in the conversation at running back. Delaney Walker should be in the conversation at tight end. Defensively, I think Derek Morgan and Brian Arakpo and Derek Morgan absolutely have to be in the conversation. And probably Jarrell Casey too, although maybe the late injury and lack of production the last few weeks may hurt him a bit there. But now maybe you get a little reputation with a guy like him too, that he's just been good for a while and people know that it becomes somewhat of a lifetime achievement award. I think the Titans will be an interesting case study this year in the sense that a lot of times you see teams that have had consistent success. They win the popularity contest because you see those guys on national TV all the time. You see them in the playoffs. You know who some of those guys are, or those teams are. The Titans haven't been in that position for a long time. And we saw that even last year. I mean, Jarrell Casey and especially Delaney Walker last year, he had by far the best year of any tight end in football. But he was playing for a team that went 3-13 and won 2 games the year before that. Not a lot of people pay attention to you when you're at the bottom of the NFL. Not a lot of people were paying attention to the Titans heading into this year. Now, they've made some people start to pay attention, but will it be enough to get complete respect in the Pro Bowl? I don't know. It'll be very fascinating to see when those selections come out. And also, you got to remember that some guys won't be able to make it. Do the Titans get, assuming they're not in the Super Bowl, will the Titans get some guys picked up like you saw with a Casey or a Walker last year where they're additions to the Pro Bowl team. But I could certainly see 3 guys on the Titans offense. The other 2 that absolutely should get looks is Taylor Lewan and Jack Conklin at the tackle positions. They've been outstanding. They absolutely should get looks to be in the Pro Bowl. So I could see the Titans with a handful of guys from the offensive side of the ball and maybe a couple from the defensive side of the ball, which, when you think about it, I've been covering the Titans now. This will be the 6th season. I think in the first 5 years, I think they had 4 Pro Bowlers in 5 years that I've covered them on a daily basis. So you talk about possibly getting 6 this year. That tells you the type of climb they've made. The influx of talent and mostly the wins on the field. Because in a lot of ways, the Pro Bowl becomes a team award. You win games, individuals get recognized. And we'll see. We'll see if the Titans have won enough this year that in one quick year, when no one was expecting anything from them, if all of a sudden now you see that type of respect for some of these guys. We'll find out. All right, phone lines are open. We got an open bank of calls. So if you've been waiting, trying to get in, now's a great opportunity. 737-7767 is the number. We want to hear from you when we come back. We'll also revisit the end of the game yesterday, some analysis as well. Stay tuned. This is Titans Talk on News Channel 5+.